We are on. Yo, what up? That's me, Jared Chambers. I'm the Black Dad. Used to rap, get on stage with my friends, have a real good time. Then I started a restaurant. Fried chicken and waffles, baby. Was even on the You Gotta Eat Here show. And there's White Dad, Jay Simpson. Party animal. We met while our friends were putting together a band. Got to do some cool things together. Have a gang of fun. And hell, even got in a little bit of trouble. Sometimes. Just sometimes. You know, he got himself in a little bit more trouble than me. But I was always a good friend. I was always there to bail him out. Much as I could. Just playing. He started an awesome family. So did I. Now we have a podcast. We interview entertainers, athletes, whoever. It's Black Dad, White Dad podcast. But we're not talking about parenting. Yes. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Black Dad, White Dad podcast. I am here with...
This is like a new record for us.
I am Jeremy Chambers. I'm one of your hosts, and I'm here with my man, Jay Simpson, the White Dad. Welcome to episode 4. Episode 4.
Episode 5?
I think 4.
5?
4.
4.
Yeah.
This is like a record. We did 2 this week.
Yeah.
5? 4. It's 4.
It's 4. Yeah. No. It is.
Yeah. I feel like those numbers don't mean much, but when you start, I have 3 kids, and if I had 4 kids, I'd know the fucking difference. I'd tell you that much.
Yes, you would.
When it comes to podcast episodes, I'm really not sure. I could tell you though. I had one more of those goddamn things running around.
Yeah, you know what? I'm super excited that we are here at number 4 here, and we got our structure laid down every Thursday. Now, of course, we may step outside of the Thursdays when we have to for different reasons, but we are here. Jay is actually in the middle of traveling right now, so he's coming live to you from a hotel hallway.
Yeah, it's a hotel hallway. I managed to get my 3 kids to fall asleep all at the same time in a hotel room, which door I can see. Like I can see the door. They're fine because we're traveling really early tomorrow.
Right.
And my wife is traveling right now. Like she's coming to the hotel in like an hour. And so she's not getting here till like 11. And then we're waking up at 3 or 4 with the kids. And I've been thinking like I don't know. We have a guest today and I'm not sure if he's ever traveled near kids, with kids. I don't know, but there's a part of me that's thinking like 9/11 wasn't necessarily, Bush maybe. It was probably just a guy with 3 kids who just said, fuck this. I don't want to be here anymore. And when he got on the microphone, they're like, who are you? Why are you doing this? He's like, man, I'm tired. And someone thought he said, it sounds a little bit like jihad. Man, I'm tired.
You're crazy,
so,
man.
That's what I feel.
Yeah, you're going through it right now, but you're soldiering on, man. You're here. I'm excited you're here. We're all excited you're here. And we are excited because we have a very special guest today. This man has worked with the likes of Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees and many, many more professional athletes. It is Charlie Cates. Charlie Cates is absolutely amazing. Thank you, Charlie, for being here, my friend. Yeah.
Hey, my pleasure, fellas. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, that is incredible, man. We are so excited to have you here right now. You know what? We both Jay and I have jumped into trying to get back into shape.
for for the new year, and
Yeah.
we
Since I was 15.
yeah. Yeah, so it's you know what, like just getting back in the gym, and me being I'm in my 40s now, I'm going to be 42, and I'm seeing the challenges and seeing the difference. Like I know muscle has memory, but I feel like they're having a little bit of amnesia right now. They're not completely remembering everything.
For instance, Jer's right arm muscle has the memory of doing this over and over and over again all the time. It's just there.
He's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's why we're super excited to have you on with us, man. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. My pleasure, fellas. I'm really excited to talk with y'all today.
Amazing. Now we like to break the show up into segments, and one of the segments that we do it's called "Fuck Around and Find Out." We believe that 2023 is the year of accountability, so we like to I don't know if you've ever been explained it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually show you the theory behind it, and then we'll get into what it's all about. Okay.
All right. Today we're going to talk about how we can find out and how much we can find out and what it takes to get there. So first we have to decide how much do we want to find out. So let's say in this case, I want to find out at a level of 7. Okay, so I find that level on my graph and I come horizontally to my gradient line. Where it intersects with my gradient line, I'm going to come straight down to where it intersects with my fuck around line. That there is going to tell me how much I have to fuck around to find out what I need to find out. See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out. And also, if you stay down here and you never fuck around, you'll never find out. So I hope this lesson is helpful. Thank you.
It makes sense, right?
Yes, that is awesome.
Okay, awesome. All right, so here we got.
Can we stop and can we make no promises that because Charlie's voice is so much better than mine that he can't take over for me at any point or steal my job?
I don't know, man. His voice is pretty sweet, bro. Like I can't lie. Charlie, you know what?
It's like that dude from The Wire.
That's too funny. That's too funny.
Okay, so we're gonna. So we decided to go with a fuck around and find out that's fitness themed. Charlie's a fitness professional. He's here to talk about the importance of muscle health with Dad. So I thought this would be fitting for today. All right, so can we both see that?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't look good.
No. This guy he's in trouble. So
yeah. Oh no.
He's benching a whole bunch more than he should.
Oh,
and let me just say,
no.
he's nothing bad is going to happen to him, right? I would not do that, but something bad could have happened to him. I
don't know. I bench press 500 pounds with my trachea all the time.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So for those who are listening to us with just audio, we do have a video portion. You can check us out on Facebook, and on YouTube, and on Twitter.
No.
Yeah, but this gentleman has decided to bench. I don't know. It's got to be 400 plus pounds. He's got no spotter, and it goes terribly wrong. He's able.
Oh my goodness.
How many wheels he got on there?
You heard of the roll of shame?
4 wheels on each side.
He's doing the roll of shame, and yeah, he saved himself. So let's be happy for that.
Yeah.
He was able to. Why am I big and you guys small? That's not what I meant to do. Anyway, he was able.
Well, you're
to,
the black dad.
And I'm in charge. I got the buttons in front of me and everything, so that's how it's gonna be. He was able to slide himself out, but like that's so dangerous, right? Like,
yeah.
Like what does that bring to mind when you watch something like that, Charlie?
Like, so I remember in college, a football player at USC, like when he was benching, dropped the bar on his neck. I remember it was a big thing on SportsCenter. I mean, that's a huge injury that can happen.
You could take your head off.
Right, exactly. I mean, that's literally life threatening. And so the thing about it is he caught it on camera, right? And so it's like he's doing something for, in some ways at least, for the camera.
Right.
And when we think about what exercise is, we so often get caught up on what's going to look good for the camera and completely neglecting of like what's actually going to be required and then take place within our body and happen from a health perspective. And
Right.
so that clip right there is such a perfect example of so much of what has gone astray, what's gone awry with mainstream fitness, and why so many guys are just flat out confused about what they need to be doing to try to get back in shape, to try to keep their shape, whatever it is, or just try to feel healthy overall. So that was actually a perfect clip to show because it highlighted some of the biggest issues that we see in the mainstream fitness industry.
Right.
I don't think you'll find anyone who's ever participated in, weightlifting or even any sort of fit, like that doesn't make the mistake of letting their ego drive for a little while.
Yep.
And I think that's a perfect example of it.
Yeah.
That guy had a picture of the Incredible Hulk in the background painted on the wall.
Yes.
And I feel like, he's got to swap it out for Barbie now.
That's too funny.
Well, it's
Maybe
exactly
just
like,
get a different superhero there.
no, I think
Captain Noodle's arms. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it was like it seemed to be at least 400 plus, right? So he believed that he can do it, and maybe he's done it because I think, like Charlie said, he had a camera set up to tape this, right? And it went disgustingly wrong, right? But yeah, I think everybody's out there for kind of a show, more of a show. People are getting away from what it's all about. So let's get more into that. But first, we're gonna run an ad by our guys over at Pure Golf.
If you're in the Greater Toronto area, check out Pure Golf, Markham's premier indoor golf simulator training facility. Fully automated and conveniently open 7 days a week, year-round. Book now at puregolfsim.ca.
Yeah, Pure Golf. Charlie, if you're ever in the Toronto area, you have to check out Pure Golf, indoor golf simulators.
It looks awesome.
Absolutely amazing place to be.
Are you a golfer, Charlie?
Well, I had one summer where I golfed somewhat consistently. And then once my wife had our daughter, then it's been like once since then. So
it's not like once we had kids. It's once she had a child and ruined it for me.
I try to be very specific with what I did not birth her. And so I try to give, my wife the credit where it's due, right?
You can't win anywhere these days. You had the best of intentions, and I still found a way to make you a total piece of shit. It's just, isn't that the way of the world now? Like, you can't do anything. You might everyone, if you want to be a golden child of the internet, just be a fucking mime. And
exactly.
Don't say a word.
Yeah.
I feel
Exactly.
you there. Obviously, I have kids too, man. And my golf game has poofed. It's there's this wisp of smoke where it used to be.
So we all got to
right?
we all need to meet up at Pure Golf and get this thing together.
There you go.
The golf.
Yeah.
So Charlie, tell us about yourself, man. And we know that you have written the Exercise for Life method.
Your resume is amazing.
Yeah, you have
Thank
a great
you.
body
I
of work.
appreciate that very much.
So
Thank you.
where did it all start, and how did you get to where you
Yeah.
are?
So all growing up, I played sports. I played basketball all growing up. That really was my primary sport. Starting in about 8th grade, I started to take my own training more seriously, trying to become a better basketball player. And it was like one of the first times in my life where I saw, okay, if I work really hard at this thing, training my body, I actually see a result as far as being able to perform better. And so that excitement for training carried through high school and into college. I was fortunate enough to play basketball through college. And really my primary focus through college was sports performance, working with athletes, working with college athletes, professional athletes. Like you mentioned, I had the opportunity to work with Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers one summer. So, just being able to get around people who truly are masters and elite at their craft and understand like what makes people who are great at what they do. And so that exposure early on really helped me understand, okay, how do I really become good at this sports performance thing? Well, after college, I ended up having a job in Chicago and working as a personal trainer, kind of wanting to get back into sports performance. But I started to get introduced to some other methodologies and some other kind of ideas about exercise. And at this point in my life, if you looked at me, you'd say, okay, that guy's strong, that guy's athletic, deadlifting 500 pounds, jumping up, to the point where almost hitting my head on the rim, like really, like
That's
you
you?
look at that guy and say, okay, yeah, that guy's strong, that guy's athletic, but internally my body was broken. Meaning I would wake up every morning and the entire right side of my body would tighten up from my foot all the way up to my neck. I couldn't go for a run for more than 10 minutes without my body screaming at me to stop. And every night I'd be falling asleep with ice packs strapped to my joints because my body was so aching and sore. So even though I could perform, I was not healthy by any stretch of the
longevity
imagination.
there.
Exactly. Okay. And so really though, because I had built this identity for myself of being an athlete, being strong, being fit, I kind of came to a crossroads where it was like, okay, well, I could either stop doing my workouts and try to let my body heal. But if I go down that way, I'm going to lose my strength, I'm going to lose my fitness, and I'm going to lose my identity.
Right.
Or I can keep pushing through knowing very well that I'm risking injury, feeling like I'm one misstep away from rupturing my Achilles or rupturing a biceps tendon or anything like that. But it's like, to me, losing that identity was too great of a risk. And so I kept pushing forward. Fortunately, I had some interventions come my way from mentors and colleagues and instructors that really showed me, hey, like there's a different way to exercise. There's a different mindset and approach that you can take to exercise. And so what I started to notice within myself is when I changed how I was exercising, I could still work out really hard, but my body actually started to feel better. And so then I kind of took those principles that I was learning and started to dive deeper into how exercise actually helps us be healthier, how it actually helps our cardiovascular system be healthier, our brain be healthier, actually helps boost longevity and everything like that.
Right.
I went into grad school, kind of studied, like the biochemistry and the physiology of it all, and kind of came out on the other end with this model and this process of like, okay, this is how you have to exercise in order to get all these health results. And this is how you have to do the exercise in order to make sure that you don't feel broken at the end of it. And so through a lot of trial and error with myself, a lot of great mentors and instructors and colleagues, we're kind of able to put together this system that ultimately culminated in, the book that came out in 2021, the podcast that my wife and I run since 2018, and, the work that we do with our clients here in Chicago and online.
Would you say, Charlie, that the mentality shift was, and I'm a former college athlete as well, and I went through the same struggles. I was a water polo player about 50 pounds ago, but I had a couple offers for baseball as well, but I broke my dad's heart. Picked the money-making world of fucking water polo. So
water polo is legit, though. I mean, I remember the coaches in college saying, like, you're looking for Olympic level swimmers that are built like linebackers. Like, you got to be legit.
We were, it's a rough sport, and I was, I was 210, probably benching 350, and I would lift weights for 10 minutes for 10 to 15 minutes twice a week.
Sure.
You know, it wasn't a lot of weightlifting. The rest of the strength just came in the pool. But I remember my last game, and I think what you're describing is the shift between, and correct me if I'm wrong, the shift between training for something. You're training towards your identity for your sport, that specific game or the specific type, and you're not training for health, wellness, longevity, mobility. It's not the same mentality. You're pushing towards something always. It's a more competitive atmosphere. And the switch for me didn't happen for like 15 years later, where I'm like, shit, I just have to be training. Not for anything
Right.
other than myself, my own mental and physical health. And what you're describing and sitting there is saying like, oh, it's part of my identity and I'm not a water polo player anymore. I don't have to train anymore.
Yep.
Well, wrong in
Right.
so many ways.
Right. Right. Yeah. You got to keep with it. But where you're bringing up is such a great point, is that when people approach their exercise with the mentality of sports is all about stuff that's external, that's outside of your body. And actually the sacrifice of your body is something that's celebrated in sports.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are, playing, you have your water polo match and you're like, I'm just feeling like a little bit too tired right now. I guess I'm just done for the day. The coaches and your teammates would be like, what the heck, dude? Like, suck it up. Let's get through it. But when we take that mentality and we apply it to every single workout that we do, that's setting us up for issues long term. That's a recipe for injury. And unfortunately, a lot of guys have difficulty making that switch.
Right.
And to call back to our fuck around and find out, people are all over the internet and bringing that external push to into their regular everyday workouts that should be more internalized. Yes. Everything is becoming external because I can't flip through anything without seeing 27 workout videos. And now it's sort of like, well, maybe I'm not doing enough, or maybe my 5x5 basic lift workouts isn't enough anymore, but it is. It's enough.
So I mean,
it's crazy.
For a guy like myself who I played sports. I didn't play any college sports, but I played some pretty high level football. I played some football even after high school.
Wow, nice.
But in my my late teens and my late teens, I was training to play football. In my 20s, I was training to get pussy. Right, I was training so I could go to the bar and have a tight shirt on and pick up chicks. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it wasn't the same as training for sports. It was more so training to look good. And then now I'm 40. I have a 10-year-old son. I have a 5-year-old son. And, I'm back in the gym now. I have a hip issue. I'm not sure what it is, right? I have shoulders that dislocate. I've realized now that I'm training so that I can feel good and not look good. As much as I want to look good, I want to be able to run and jump and play with my children and enjoy.
It's still going to be a sweet bonus though to look good.
Oh yeah,
sure. You do anything for long enough, you're going to end up looking good. It's just fact.
Right. So I've been able to change my mentality for the last, I don't know, it's been about 6 weeks. And that's why I say I think my muscles have a little bit of amnesia, because usually I get back in the gym for 3 weeks and it's like, bang, you know what I mean? Not this time, buddy. Not this time.
I got you. Yeah.
So, I completely understand where you're coming from with, you're training for something different, whether it was for sports or to get ass, right? To now we need to be looking differently at what the goal is, right?
Yes.
So what are some of the methods and behind this and whatnot?
So that's a great question. So I think we need to separate ourselves. So most guys, their first introduction to working out, it kind of like we all talked about, is more or less high school athletics. And that's our first time training hard. And that tends to be most guys kind of last time training hard. And when you're in your late teens and your early 20s, you can train like a high school athlete and you're going to recover and be all right. Okay. Once you get into your 30s and 40s, things need to shift. Now, the biggest shift that needs to happen with guys is, instead of thinking about the weight or thinking about anything that's outside of your body, you take your mind and you put it to the muscles that you are trying to challenge when you're doing the exercise.
The mind-muscle connection.
Yes,
nice, man.
Literally the only thing you should be focused on when you're doing an exercise is squeezing the muscles that you're wanting to work. Now, I know a lot of people get caught up on I need to worry about my form and everything like that. Let me tell you, if you focus on squeezing your muscles, your form will take care of itself. Okay. Because not from the form of what you're seeing in the mirror, but from the form of what should actually be happening with your body. Because the second biggest risk for injury for guys is, once we move past the competition stage, is we try to contort our bodies to do the proper squat, or, you know, make sure we're using like the textbook form when our body at that moment in time may not be equipped to do that thing. Like what somebody says in the textbook doesn't have anything to do with how your body is doing on that day. And the easiest way to gauge how your body is doing on that day is to focus on what's happening inside of it and make that mind muscle connection throughout the entire time you are doing that set, the entire time you're doing that exercise.
Wow.
That one shift will have a dramatic impact for most guys, just as far as how they respond to their workouts and how they feel after their workouts.
Wow.
I've heard world-class bodybuilders say the exact same thing that you just said.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially when it comes to growing their muscles, because
Yes,
their goal is size, not necessarily brute strength.
right.
And
Yep.
they're finding that their workouts concentrating on that mind muscle connection is almost as important as the reps and the weight.
Right. And here's the thing. Yeah, and it's not a woo-woo concept either, okay? In the world of motor control, researchers will look, they'll do EMG studies where they'll measure the electrical activity from the central nervous system to the muscles.
Okay.
And when you do an exercise and you think about the muscle that you're squeezing, there's more electrical activity going to that muscle. There's more signal going to that muscle. Now, why that is so important is because the initiator of muscle growth within our body is the signal going to the muscle that speeds up all the biochemical processes within the cell that then signal for the cell to grow. So simply by making that mind muscle connection, you will get better results from your workouts because you're just getting more signal to those muscles itself.
Wow.
I think, and I mean, we don't have any cool like fact checking on the fly. Like
I can send you the papers. It's all in my book.
No, because I'm about to make a claim. They did a study, and I don't know what I don't ask me to pull it up anywhere. The only thing that people were asked to do was think about getting stronger, and they did, and that's it. No working out, no anything. And there was a simple exercise over the course of like 6 to 8 weeks. Some basically people were left alone, and then other people were like, reminded, how many ever times a day, just think about your biceps getting stronger, your legs getting stronger. And all it took was that mental exercise, and their bodies became measurably stronger. Wow, and that's why I say I can't fact check any of that.
It sounds cool.
It sounds really cool.
In lieu of doing any actual work, I read a lot about working out and fitness. So that basically just makes it so I don't have to do any real world work. It's just
there we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's on your head.
There we go.
So everything you're saying is really, really resonating, and it's awesome to hear someone just independently verify some of these, claims that I've heard over the years, and things that I experience in my own life. That's rad.
Yeah.
Right
Yes. So Charlie, you mentioned that you and your wife work with clients out in your area. So how does that work? Is that in person? Are you doing online sessions?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we do have a brick and mortar studio that we've had for 9 years now. Once we got shut down with COVID, we needed, during COVID, I should say, we needed to figure out a way to keep helping people exercise, because as exercise professionals, if we're out there every single day saying like, hey, your health is your most valuable asset, and the single best thing you can do to both boost and protect this asset is exercise. We couldn't on March 21st, 2020 say, oh, for the next 2 weeks, just nobody exercise. It's like we needed to give them a viable option. 2 weeks turned into 6, turned into 10, but every single day during that entire time, we were doing live workouts from our living room that people were able to join with us from their living room. And so from that moment, we realized, oh, these things that we are teaching our clients in person, they actually translate really well online. And so from that time, we started doing more and more. And we just recently, at the turn of the year, launched a kind of like an online membership where people can join us for those live workouts, as well as get, our entire library of on-demand workouts.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, man. I think, I think this information is super, super important, especially for our audience, right? Like it's black dad, white dad. We don't just talk about, parenting or whatever else, but it's a big part of our lives, as you can see from the guy sitting in the hallway. Yeah.
Well, a lot of times you hear anyone involved with fitness. I mean, from what I've experienced, when main takeaway from the conversation, some variation of exercising. It's circuit training, it's 5x5, it's heavy lifting, it's whatever, and that's all that seems to get. But all we're talking about here is a mentality shift.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I've never scoured the internet from front to back, but shit. I mean, I feel like I don't hear about that mentality, like how you should be framing your time in the gym or your body, given its current status of being in late 30s, early 40s, a father, a mother, whatever, and that how you get up and get out and how to feel okay about it, because it doesn't require you showing off, how you can get strangled by 4 plates in a fucking gym. Right. That's less impressive than the guy doing 20 reps of 225.
Right.
So I love that mentality shift, that way that people can feel good about whatever they're doing, as long as they're doing something. Just do something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And do it for you. And that's it.
That's it.
Yep.
It.
Exactly. Exactly. No, there was, one big thing, just like right along those lines, Jay, is I think with guys, we often have this idea of like, well, if I'm going to work out, it needs to be something where I'm proving my manhood, where I'm challenging my masculinity and everything like that. And if it's been a while since a guy has worked out, don't start by trying to go that route. Okay. The easiest thing that you can do is literally just get up and walk consistently throughout your day, multiple times throughout your day.
Right.
And what that's going to do, okay, it's going to do 2 things. Okay. First, there's a huge health component to this. Okay. Because getting up and walking 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes at a time, but multiple times throughout the day. So you don't have large chunks of being sedentary. You're not sitting for, an hour and a half to 2 hours at a time. You're breaking that up.
Right.
That is enough to help prevent and reverse insulin resistance. And insulin resistance is a precursor condition to type 2 diabetes, to heart disease, to various forms of dementia, various forms of cancer. And it's just, you're not sweating, you're not breathing hard. It's just getting up and moving consistently throughout your day, but it's doing it consistently. Right. So that's the first big benefit of that. The second big benefit is if you're feeling like, I don't know when I'm going to have time to work this, workout into my schedule. Yep. If you get up and start moving consistently throughout your day, you're going to be telling your brain that this moving thing, this is something that's really important because you're doing it consistently throughout your day. And when your brain starts thinking something's important, it's going to start seeking out and seeing more opportunities to do that. Okay. And now all of a sudden, that thing that felt really daunting, you're going to see more opportunities to do that throughout your day. It's like, oh yeah, I can move for 5 minutes here. I can, stand up, walk down and back for 3 minutes there. And now all of a sudden you are proving to yourself that you can exercise every single day, that you can do it consistently. Right. And then from there, just start expanding upon that. A workout that's 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. It doesn't have to be this 45 to 60 minute endeavor that we're all indoctrinated into with high school PE class. Right. It can be this, 15 to 25 minute thing. And now all of a sudden you're doing something that not only builds your strength, that builds your health, but you're working out today in a way that sets you up to come back and work out again tomorrow. And that's how you stay consistent. Right. That's how you win this game long term.
Right.
Is that also, Charlie, how a lot of negative habits are formed too? Getting that positive feedback loop or those dopamine hits from shit that's not healthy. You're driving by the fucking McDonald's without pulling in. It's like you're on autopilot.
Smell those fries. How did I get here? Smell those fries.
Yeah.
I'm in a fugue state, and all of a sudden I've eaten. I'm in my car crying again, drinking 40 pints and having a box of donuts to myself. Then you get home and you're all sweaty, and your wife's like, "How was the gym?" And I'm like, "Delicious. Good." All you did was sit in your car and secretly
That was the gym.
60 $60 worth of Taco Bell. Fuck yeah. Hey babe, yeah, worked on my quads.
I think that what you were just saying there, Charlie, was so powerful. During COVID for myself, I was working from home with 2 kids and going nuts, and I found comfort and solace in going for walks, just like you said. Like I would go for 2 or 3 walks a day. And at that point, I wasn't in good shape then either. Like I fluctuate, but as I got older, at that point, I wasn't going to the gym because gyms were closed, right? Once it started to get warm enough, I was like, hey, let me get out for a walk. And it got to the point where I was walking sometimes 10 kilometers a day. And I know you're American, so I mean,
wow,
how many miles is that? Anyway.
It's 6.2 miles.
Yeah. So I was doing that a day, and by the fourth week, I was looking forward to it. Whereas in the beginning, I was like, God damn, I got to go do this. It was nice because I wanted to get away from my children, right, and get some of that free time. But then it became
sure.
I'd get home and look forward to the next walk, and if it was the last walk for the evening, I would look forward to tomorrow, and then that trickled into eating better and getting back into the gym. Once I could.
The love handles tend to get stripped with that walking too, Jer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, bro.
The muffin top just goes away.
The wife loved it. She loved it.
Yeah. It's wicked. I really speaking my language.
No, because it's really like when I was in my 20s and 30s, I would never walk. If I was gonna do cardio, like you were saying, Charlie, I needed to go. I'd go on the elliptical for a bit, but then I would end off, going full out on the treadmill, so everybody could see me, going full out on the treadmill, and I could bust a sweat, and I could feel masculine, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I was getting better results just taking my time and walking, right? And not hurting myself and getting more longevity out of the exercise and more energy out of it. And the dopamine hits from just like, I don't know if and I know you get a runner's high, but I was getting a walker's high for sure. You know what I mean? I felt
yeah,
fantastic.
absolutely.
So I think for those that are, in that situation, find themselves in their, 30s, 40s, and, feel like getting even back into it is a super daunting task. Start small, like Charlie said. Start in your head and just get out.
What do they say? The best time to start was 20 years ago. The second best time is today.
It's true.
It is.
It's true. Yeah.
Because same with planting trees.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's right. Yeah, Charlie, man, I really, really love the methods and the way that you're looking at things here. The Exercise for Life method, where can people find that?
Yeah, so everything can be found on Instagram. If you follow me at Charlie Gates, Cates, you go to that link tree and it's right in my link tree there. That's where you can access, like my men's programs. I got some downloads in there. My book is in there as well. So that's kind of the easiest way to really get a hold of all of my content, the book, and then connect with me as well.
Fantastic, man. Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us, my friend.
Yeah.
I hope you will. I hope you'll come back and join us again because.
Yeah, you bet. Absolutely.
Maybe we can talk.
Yeah, maybe Jay will get out of the hallway.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe Jay will stay home this time.
I'm gonna need a backy out of me after sitting this fucking. I'm not built to sit on the floor, man. I don't bend. Like I am the most. I once got a massage from this absolutely, this very robust German woman with hands like slabs of meat, and she probably had more muscles in her hands and figures than I've ever had, and half of humanity's ever had. And I sent her home the day crying. I finished her. She got all my shoulders less tight and everything like that. And then it was like you could hear the sucking sound as everything tightened back up, and she was just like, "I'm finished. I can't do this." But I've never had like a sports injury as a result of being wound. I'm built like a telephone pole, and I'm about as flexible. And So yeah, please come back because I could we could use the help. I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you one more thing though. You worked with a lot of
Yes, sir.
Athletes in college, and there was I've been kind of holding these questions in the back of my mind. One was, who are your favorite type of athletes to work with? If you were working within a college athletics program, you probably worked with everyone. So who are your favorite? Who seemed to work hard? And was there any specific? I don't want to say like panacea like this. Was there any one methodology or one exercise that translated across the board that nearly every type of athlete could benefit from,
like the bench press or something
in your
like that?
experience? Maybe there isn't, but maybe there is.
Sure. That's a great question. Okay, so I've had the pleasure of working with both collegiate and professional athletes. I've worked with a number of basketball players, football teams. Having a basketball background, I really enjoy working with basketball players. I get along really well with football players. But the thing that I think was surprising to me not when I think back on it, but like maybe in the moment, because this can tend to be a little bit competitive with basketball, but I get along really well with wrestlers. And because wrestlers have typically just a phenomenal work ethic, and they're just going to go and they're just going to get after it, and they are extremely calorie depleted, but they are just going to block it all out of their mind, and they're going to get after it. And so I found that both in high school and in college, like from a workout perspective, when I was in there and the wrestlers were in there, like we got along great. And so I really enjoyed working with them. But now I mostly work with some baseball, but football and basketball. And, just with my history with basketball, I tend to get along with the basketball players really well. Now, as far from an exercise perspective, like, is there one that kind of like is great for everybody across the board? That's a tough one. A lot of people say something like, a deadlift, or, like a pull up, or, squats or whatnot. And there's a ton of benefit to those. There certainly can be. I
would submit it's something like a loaded carry.
I can definitely see that, because not only are you getting the having to like essentially squeeze every muscle in your body, but then you're having to coordinate it with the walking as well.
Okay.
What I'm gonna say is that it's actually a slight bit different, and it has to do from an injury prevention standpoint, and it's going to be something where you are focused on deceleration. Now, maybe like swimmers don't need this, but any like land athlete, maybe track and field, because you're essentially just like running straight. But anybody else that has to like stop and cut and move and whatnot, so many injuries happen because they're not able to properly like decelerate and like stop and change direction and everything like that. So those type of exercises, whether it's stepping down from a box and just practicing the landing, or practicing like change of direction stuff, just from an injury prevention standpoint, those can be really, really useful.
Wow.
And then the other thing that I'm going to throw out there is isometric exercises, and regardless of like whether it's an upper body, a core exercise, or lower body. And here's why: because you're not moving with isometric exercises, you don't have to worry about coordinating a movement.
So sorry,
can you
explain a little bit to everybody what an isometric exercise is?
Yeah, so an isometric exercise, like a common one, is like a plank, or people might be familiar with like a wall squat. So it's an exercise where you're not moving. Okay. And so the benefit of that is you don't have to coordinate a movement. Then you don't have to worry about having, the right form, or, you or the right choreography. You can just focus on squeezing your muscles. Right. You can just focus on making that mind muscle connection. Right. And you can use it as a warm up. You can use it as something that's really challenging. You can use it on your recovery days. Yeah. So those I find to be not only very versatile, but extremely beneficial, especially when we're starting to talk about like, hey, if I do a shoulder press and I go all the way up, it feels weird in my shoulders. It's like, okay, well, why don't we stop a little bit before that? Maybe just do like an isometric, just like right there. And then you're practicing that mind muscle connection. You're not in the place where it hurts your joints, and you can really get that good muscle challenge.
Okay. That's awesome. Great question there, Jay.
Awesome.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, thanks, Charlie.
Yeah,
Thanks.
no, that's so dope. Yeah, Charlie Cates, man, the Exercise for Life method. Make sure you go and check that out. Thank you again for joining us. I think that what we should do is maybe give some accountability to ourselves. I right now am weighing. I went from 214 to I was 194 today. Now that's with the exercise.
You son of a bitch.
With the
So now I have to be accountable to
yes, yeah.
our ones to fives of viewers. Fucking
Ones
asshole.
of fives,
Okay.
bro. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
so
well,
for me, I'm 194. I'm 194, and I was going to the gym like 4 times a week. But I'm not gonna lie, I've been there 12 days in a row. And before I wouldn't do that type of stuff because I was lifting heavy and doing that, but I'm not lifting heavy anymore. I'm looking forward to the next workout, right? So I'm lifting what I can. I'm getting the cardio in that I can, and I'm swimming almost every single day. So
It's awesome.
And I had the opposite thing because I was going, and then I did the ego lift on my deadlift, and I doing it to my back, and I'm like,
right,
what the fuck, and it shut my whole training down. Like, why do I want to do something? Where's the risk reward there?
So for him, is that something
my
that
whole training?
once he's back and ready, ready to go back to it, should he stay away from that and focus on something else, Charlie, or what should he do?
So I wouldn't necessarily say like you have to stay away from it, but you can definitely like let pain be your guide, meaning like if something is painful or bothering you, don't keep trying to plug through it. And then that's where doing like those isometrics can really help, where you're like, okay, if I try to go too low, then that's where my back starts to bug me. So you're going to do, like start more mid-range or whatever, and just really focus on getting yourself stronger where you're asymptomatic, where you're symptom-free.
That's exactly what my physiotherapist told me. Cause I immediately started looked at physio, and they're like, okay, well then we're not going to do that. And we're going to adjust how you move and figure out where your balances are. And I just thought, again, it's lining up for what you're saying. And I know I put too much weight on the bar. Like I've been pushing everything else, and I push the deadlift more than, a progressive overload should ever be pushed. Stupid. I knew it. And it's just my body's not recovering the way it used to. So I love that you're like, do the part that doesn't hurt and leave the part that does hurt over there. Okay.
Exactly.
And that's where I'm trying to be better at finding that fine line. I want that fine line of you want to push yourself, right? You want to challenge yourself. But you don't want to do it to the point to where it shuts down what you're doing, right? All of a sudden you've gone a little bit too heavy, and then now you're out for 2 weeks. Like I blew my bicep years ago, and it's back now, but it's even my right bicep.
I wish my name was your bicep.
It's got your name written all over it, bud. But yeah, like I think being able to just still feel like okay, I pushed myself and I went the extra mile, but I still I live to work out another day. I think is important.
So that's a huge point, Jeremy. And what I'll say is when you incorporate that one idea of just focus on squeezing your muscles, you will be able to train your body really hard, but you'll also be getting the feedback from your body of when something is starting to go awry, and you'll be able to address it before it becomes a big issue.
Right.
I kind of like giving the analogy of like, if you've ever sat down to watch a movie and you have like this giant bowl of popcorn and you're distracting yourself with the movie, and then 30 minutes in you realize you eat the entire bowl of popcorn, and you're like, what just happened and why do I feel so lousy? That's what so many people do with their workouts, because they're distracting themselves with everything else.
Right.
But once you start focusing on what's going on within your body, it's like focusing on trying to eat every single kernel of popcorn. You're going to end up eating a lot less, even though you're going to end up feeling a lot better after a lot more satiated. So with your workouts, you'll be exercising so much more appropriately for your body because you're getting that signal, or you're getting that feedback from your body. Say like, okay, we're good here.
Right. Well, you know what?
That's a really good point.
It brings up something that I heard years ago too. Now, when you're talking about focusing on squeezing that muscle, right? Really focusing on what you're doing. I heard a theory back in the day saying, don't listen to music. As much as we use music to distract us while we're working out, that you're better served not necessarily to be blaring your favorite tunes in your ears while you're working out. Where do you have you heard that? Where do you stand on that?
So when I first started to learn how to drive, I couldn't have the radio on. Because as soon as a song would come on that I would forget what was going on with the driving, and I'd be paying attention to the music. Okay. So many people are like that with their workout, right? Right. Exactly. All right. Exactly. So it's like, but once you become a more proficient driver, you can actually play your music and enjoy the music and still drive safely and pay attention to what's going on.
Right.
So it has to be a similar process with exercise. If you're just starting off trying to make these mind-muscle connections, remove as many distractions as you can, and that includes music. Once it becomes more of your default way and you become more proficient at it, then you can start adding in that music, and it can be something that amplifies your workout, but you need to make sure that you're still paying attention to what's happening to your body.
Right.
It's sort of like when you're driving and you don't know where you're going and you're looking for an address, so you turn the music down.
Yes. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so I'm gonna I'm not that's it at my home gym. No more Frasier DVDs while I work out. It's too condensed. No more West Wing. Hey, Charlie, what is your? So I listen. Sometimes I listen to audiobooks, and sometimes I listen to the most pussy shit ballad. I'll be jamming out to this. What's your guilty pleasure? What's your guilty pleasure list like workout music? And what's your ego lifter? You're like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm gonna get after this motherfucker and just hoist this bitch.
Okay. Yeah. So it's definitely lower body lifts for me, like deadlifts and squats. Those are the ones that are like, okay, cool. Let me bang this out. As far as the music goes, dude, I really like late 90s, early 2000s, even mid 2000s, R&B, kind of pop, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, and then mixing in Chris Brown, and okay, cool, yeah, let's do that. So if we're talking about guilty pleasure music, that's it for me.
That's dope.
Yo, if you put on Genie in a
yeah.
If you put on Genie in a Bottle by Christina Aguilera, I will lift a fucking house. I am fired up. I'm not even kidding. It's something about that too. Anyone who knows me who's listening to this right now, I would be in a bar in college and everyone would know I'm there because I'd hear Genie in a Bottle come on the jukebox and they'd look around and they'd be like, where the fuck is Simpson? And I'd be over there and they're like, yeah. Everyone knew that I was somewhere in the vicinity in the college bar because I was the only asshole that played that song ever.
That's dope.
Yeah. And I still love it.
That's jokes. Oh man, it's been a pleasure, man. Charlie, please come back and join us. I'm gonna stay.
Yeah, you bet.
We'll monitor my progress. We'll monitor Jay's progress when he's back, and yeah, we'd love to have you back on, man. Please.
Yeah, that'd be super fun, fellas. We can definitely make that happen for sure.
Yeah,
excellent.
that would be awesome. Thanks so much, Charlie. It's been a real pleasure. We owe you some gratitude for coming on and chatting with us. We really
Charlie Cates,
really
man. Charlie Cates. Check out the Exercise for Life
Appreciate
method.
you guys. Thank you.
Yeah. So
we'll make sure we're plugging Charlie on the page and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, 100%. We'll have our links up on the page. Next week we're gonna have Ben Rispin with us. He's going to talk about Fanabis Expo, the cannabis themed big expo for the film and media industry. Have a great week, everybody, or weekend. Peace.
Yeah, right on. Cheers.